You're listening to Melanated Rising, Episode 8. On this show, we inspire, uplift, and ignite Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color creatives and athletes. Here, we have open and honest conversations on topics and issues affecting us as people of color, as creatives of color, and how to take what limits us and turn it into what ignites us and our creative work. Every episode is an exploration into what is possible when Black and Brown creatives stand in our undeniable power. I am your host, Kristen Iris.
And I am Shadé.
Welcome to Melanated Rising. And we are back, everybody, whether you are listening or watching on the video feed. We're here, and I'm so excited to bring Shadé to you because I actually met her in person last month in Las Vegas, where we were both at the State of Womanhood Empowerment Weekend, both as speakers and as guests. So it was when I was watching her presentation, I was like, man, I've got to get her on my show. She's going to help so many people. So if you are not familiar with her, let me introduce you and tell you a little bit about her. Shadé Adu is a digital brand strategist, international speaker, best-selling author, and the founder of Savvy Solutions Consulting. Shadé helps women entrepreneurs use the power of social media to brand, build, and monetize digital programs, products, and services. She provides transformational tips, tools, strategies, and techniques that turn entrepreneurial leaders into online celebrities by leveraging the power of social media and live streaming. Shadé is a featured expert in Hello Beautiful, Black Enterprise, HuffPost, and The Rachel Ray Show. Shadé has shared her life-changing message in Europe, Asia, Africa, and across the United States. In addition to being a full-time entrepreneur, Shadé is a doctoral candidate at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and the recipient of the prestigious Gates Millennium Scholarship. With a sincere passion for her line of work and a tenacious drive to succeed, Shadé strives to make even more colossal changes in the world around her. Welcome, Shadé. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today.
So we are talking today about social media and branding, in particular for Black and POC, people of color creatives. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because so you are a branding and social media strategist and expert, and I am an entrepreneur, but I'm also a creative. And as a creative who is also an entrepreneur, I understand that as a creative, I am still a brand, that I still have to kind of build that brand and leverage that brand, even though sometimes I'm not that good at it. But I understand that, and I feel like there are a lot of creatives and athletes and other people out there who don't think of themselves as entrepreneurs and don't really understand how much branding is actually important to what they're doing. You know, they're like really into like the creative aspects of what they're doing or the athletic pursuits, but not thinking about how they themselves are still a brand and that they can leverage that to bring both income and opportunity. So that is what we're going to be diving into today. And I want to start with, because this is something that you talked about, is like, what is branding anyway? You know, like, what is branding? What does that mean? Because I think people have an idea about like it's your colors and it's your logo, and it's so much bigger. It's so much bigger. So why don't you dive into that?
Absolutely. It's so much bigger than just a logo and a website and your colors. I tell people it's an experience, it's a feeling that you create, it's memories. So for me as a strategist, I focus more on the intrinsic elements of your brand versus the external things that people will see. We talk about those also, but we start with the intrinsic values. What are your mission? The intangibles, the things that you cannot see. A lot of people want to start with, oh, it's a logo. It's this. No, it's how you really make people feel. If we use the example of McDonald's is not just a brand, it's a feeling. Either you think it's a good feeling or you think it's a bad feeling. Either way, it is a feeling. And that is so important. And when I use examples like that, I usually use iPhones and app. Are you team Android or you team iPhone? That's a feeling. You have an intrinsic gut feeling. You're like, either I love these gadgets or they are too expensive. I hate them. I'm team Android. I don't care what you iPhone people say. You have a feeling. That is the sign of a good brand. So what I like to teach entrepreneurs, creatives, consultants how to do is to tap into those billion-dollar brands, even now they're trillion-dollar brands, and how they make people feel, and take a piece out of their multi-million dollar, billion-dollar marketing budgets and tap that into what you're currently doing right now for your brand and your business. And absolutely, if you are creative, you are a brand. And you want to think about what is the intrinsic feeling that my audience, my target audience feels when they think about me or when they think about my work or my artistry. It's so important.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So yes. So the feeling, that's what I loved about when you were talking in Vegas, is like the feeling of your brand, like the feeling that you give people is your brand, like the colors and things like that. Like you can always change that. You can decide on that later, but like, what is it that you want people to feel when they interact with you? What is it that you want people to feel when they think about you? And so one of the exercises you gave us is like text somebody right then and be like, what do you think of when you think of me? Like what words come to mind? And it made me think of earlier this year, I was talking to a coach and she gave me a similar exercise. She's like, go contact 10 people and ask them, I don't remember exactly how she phrased the question, but it was like, what do I bring into a room? Like what qualities do I bring into a room? And so like looking at that, I got to see, and I tried to pick people from different areas of my life. I got to see like the things that were kind of crossing over. And it's like, all right, this is what stands out to people. This is what is me. It wasn't even related to my business. It was like, this is what stands out to people. This is what's coming across. And then I was thinking, all right, well, how do I bring this into my business? So that feeling that people get is really important. And I like what you said about it's a good feeling or it could be a bad feeling, because there are definitely some people who sure as shit don't like me, and they don't like that I'm vocal about certain issues. They don't like that I'm political. And that's actually good for me, because I don't actually want those people. Those people, I don't want them following me. I don't want them interacting with my posts. Like, I don't want them bringing their toxicity to my followers. So being able to distinguish myself in a way where it's like, okay, these people are put off, like these people are repelled by me, that actually helps me, because it like opens up space for other people. I feel like for the people that like really are liking my message.
Absolutely. That's a part of a good brand's job, to repel people and also attract. And a lot of people think they're just supposed to attract. No, it's supposed to repel people also.
Yes. I think that's a challenge that a lot of especially new entrepreneurs face, and other people too, like creatives, athletes, but like new entrepreneurs in particular. And I think especially women, because we're sort of socialized to not necessarily be likable, but like be likable to be likable, or to be people pleasers, or to kind of nurture people. And so we're socialized to think that our value is in what other people think of us, in particular women. Men are too, but like we're socialized to believe that our value is in how many people like us, and that's not true. That's not where our value is. But to be able to do that distinguishing of like, hey, it's okay that I repel people, it makes us more authentic. It makes like our different qualities, our different energies to like shine through. And that can shine through in like the social media space as well.
Absolutely. I totally agree. The key is really, when you're building your brand, you want to build something that you can be proud of and happy with. And that means that it'll ruffle some feathers. And that means that there will be people who support you and people that don't support you. We're seeing a lot of that in the media recently. I mean, there's Colin Kaepernick's
Yeah.
story with Nike.
Yes.
I mean, there's
Oh my God.
so
People
many
are
different
so mad.
stories about that.
People are so mad. Like they're cutting the logo off their socks. I'm like, so you're gonna put those socks back on with like those socks that are
Cutting
not
logos,
they're not gonna
yeah.
stay up at your ankles? Like, are you kidding me? Oh my
Burning
God.
sneakers. And I mean, one guy, I think he did it to go viral, burning sneakers with his feet still in them. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
and
really
burn
been
his
some really
feet. Burn his feet.
and burning his feet.
He's burned. Like I saw
You
another
know,
picture of his feet, like all burned. He's like, I'm in the hospital now. I was like, see, that's what you get. That's what you get for burning your
See,
sneakers with your feet in
this is
them.
the thing about a brand. When brands make decisions, people have reactions. There's people, and on the other side of that spectrum, people are like, "I'm going to go buy some Nikes."
Oh,
I
that
mean,
was
I need to
me.
get some
That
new
was
shoes.
me. I said the same thing. I was like, I don't even wear gym shoes. I haven't bought Nike since Christy Swanson was the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer in 1992. Okay, and the very next shoes I'm buying are some Nikes. That is exactly
They're
how I
on the
felt
to-do list. Can
saw
we get
that
some
ad.
Nikes? So that is how brands make things happen. And people, there was a lot of debate. I talked about this on social media. Was this a good decision for Nike? Nike has been known to be disruptive. And even if you commend Nike for this act, supporting Serena Williams during the French Open and making Colin Kaepernick the face of the Just Do It campaign, the 30th anniversary, you can still critique this company for other practices, other business practices that you may not agree with. The great thing about companies and corporations and people are we're multifaceted. So there's things that we get right and there's things that we get wrong. And it's totally okay for you to have an opinion about those things.
Yes, I definitely agree because I was like, oh, I know they have some shady practices, but I really want to buy some Nikes now to support that. I'm like, I kind of feel like I could still do both. Like I could support what they're doing, I could support who they're supporting, but also say, hey, you've got some shady practices and this is not okay. But like you said, multifaceted, like you don't necessarily have to like everything about everybody. And nobody does. People don't like everything about me, you know? I don't like everything about everybody else around me. But yeah, I think I'm really glad that you said that you can accept that people and brands are multifaceted. And like there's is in the case of Nike, like their stock, I guess it did drop like 3%, but it's also at the highest it's ever been, even with that drop. So
They definitely had a drop, but there was also another report that Colin Kaepernick, I think, brought in about $43 million worth of visibility and advertising
wow.
from that announcement. So even with adverse effects to their stock, it's gonna go back up. Things go down, come back up. It's better to buy when stock goes down. And a lot of people said they were investing in Nike stock. This was one of the things is Nike created a viral campaign. They
Mm-hmm.
got people on both sides of the spectrum talking. So whether people liked it or not, Nike got you talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
Free advertising. They
Mm-hmm.
could not have paid
Yeah.
for
I
that
definitely share
in
that image.
commercial
I definitely share
logos
that
on
image.
things. They could not have paid for this amount of conversation and virality that their brand has right now. I was not thinking about Nike last week. Even when they did the thing with Serena, okay, cool. But I was not thinking about them, posting about them, having conversations about them. They got millions, multi-millions, billions of people paying attention to them because of this. So at the end of the day, Nike won. It was a great business move for them. They're going to end out on top.
Yeah. And see, here's the interesting thing about this is when you look at what Nike did with Colin Kaepernick is an athlete and he is also a brand. Like his brand, even not losing his career, he has become this face for this stand and need that he took against police brutality and the extrajudicial execution of Black people and brown people by police. And that is in ways like that is his brand, is to take this stand, is that he is this person who lost his career over having this voice and saying something. And Nike, two powerful brands came together basically and erupted this huge conversation. And that's why it worked. If he was just somebody else who would not distinguish themselves in a certain way and over a certain for some reason controversial topic that shouldn't be controversial, it wouldn't have had the same effect. But the fact that it's Colin Kaepernick and because of what people know him for, it is having this huge effect and this huge dialogue and all these mad people burning their shit. So that's like looking at, branding and how branding can be really powerful and branding in action. So that's really interesting too.
I love that. Yeah, this is a really powerful season. And as creatives, pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to the ad that they're creating. Pay attention to the dialogue that's being created, because these are things that you can leverage for your business and your brand too.
Yes. So let's talk about social media, because you are social media strategists, experts. I was going to try and think of another fancy word, but I can't think of one. But social media and using social media to build your brand, which I feel like all those aspects, I'm a little bit like, I feel like I can use social media to build my brand, but like growing it or like to set my brand, but growing it is where I struggle. So I don't know, talk a little bit about how we can really, how social media can be so powerful. I mean, Nike just, it was a great example of that and the way everyone's sharing. But what are some of the ways that like we can use social media to really establish a solid brand and also build that brand and grow your following?
Absolutely. So, the first thing is I don't want people to be overwhelmed, because when you hear, you're like, oh my goodness, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, I got to be Pinterest. Oh, and then there's something new that's coming out. Then I got to do Snapchat. So people lose it and go crazy and feel like they have to be everywhere. If you're not in the business of social media, then you don't have to be everywhere. You need to be the right wheres. That's what I tell people, the right places. So what I tell people is you need to have your main chick. Where are you going to hang out the most? Who are you going to hang? Who is your main boo? And then you have the side boos that are the other social media platforms that you hang out on. Spend the most of your time on one social media platform. This is the platform that I enjoy the most. This is the platform that I am going to become the most advanced on. I'm going to learn this platform. So if you are someone who has a visual brand, you are a photographer, or you're someone who is in the visual arts, you may decide that Instagram is going to be my jam. It is going to be the main place that you post your content, your experiences, where you interact with your audience. If you are like a nail tech, if you're doing special and fancy nail designs, Instagram, hairstylist, Instagram is where you need to be. If you sell jewelry, Instagram, because it's a visual platform. So it is your job to learn that platform, be great on that platform, grow your audience on that particular platform. And then from there, when you have reached your goals for a particular platform, then expand to the other platforms and give them more attention and focus. So I am on multiple platforms, but I don't spend a lot of time on all of them. What I will at least say is, if you feel like you're going to be expanding and you need these other platforms, at least save your name.
Oh,
Park
yeah, okay.
your name on the platform. I tweet when there's like Aretha Franklin's homegoing service. I am not a Twitter person, but I have a Twitter account just in case I need it for something. If you're not on those platforms, I don't really use LinkedIn as much. Now, I do want to use it more. It's the neglected, unsexy social media platform. That's what one of my clients calls it. But definitely a lot of potential there. If you're looking to do corporate, you're looking to attract people who have jobs, you definitely want to be there. So park your name, have an account, a profile on these other platforms. And what you can do is say, hey, I don't hang out on Twitter, but my main squeeze is Instagram. Find me on Instagram. And people who follow you on one platform are more likely to follow you across platforms. So you can cross promote platforms if you spend the time on one. Now, for me, I fell in love with live video. So I spent a ton of time, and I still spend a lot of time doing live video. I started off on Periscope, then we moved on to Facebook Live. Every once in a while, I'll do an Instagram Live. But live video is powerful. All brands can use live video some way, shape, or form. There's some kind of content that you can create to resonate and connect with your audience in real time. One of the things that happened with social media is we got away from connection. We got away from talking to people and meeting people and being there. With the other platforms, we had these perfect filters for Instagram, these well-crafted 140 character tweets, and these perfect Facebook posts. And then live streaming came and knocked everybody upside down because it said, guess what? You can't be perfect in real time. Something might happen, and things do happen in real time. And that's the great part about being a human and being authentic and really being a brand builder. And what it also did was people who were saying that they were this and they were that, it forced them to tell the truth, because you can't front as much when you're doing live video because you can't edit it. Is happening in real time, so people are expecting a real person. So I would definitely encourage people to incorporate some kind of live video into their marketing strategy and pick their main squeeze social media platform, and then they can expand from there.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. See, thinking about live streaming, when I first really started diving more into online business instead of like businesses that I was doing before, which were more in person. I started live streaming. I started on Periscope, talking about different things, like stuff that I don't talk about now, like totally different subject matter. But I started on Periscope and then moved over to Facebook Live, and then doing a little bit more like Instagram Live. I haven't done live streaming in a while, but it is like I think it's one of those things that a lot of people are afraid to do because they're like, oh my God, I'm on video. They're like, holy crap, I'm on video. And then they're like, but the video's live. Oh no, what if I mess up? What if I do this? And it's like, just embrace that now, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and that's fine. Like that's sort of what's meant to happen in live streaming. Like, you're meant to be authentic. You're meant to be a real person. It's not meant to be polished and refined. Like, I did a live stream. Oh my gosh. I think it was a year ago. Yeah, it was a little bit more than a year ago. I did a live stream and I'm talking. And like 17 minutes in, somebody's like, I can't hear you. I'm like, so my audio's been off this whole time. Nobody wanted to tell me. So like I stopped it. I deleted it. And then like I had to start all over from fresh. Like, oh my gosh. And these are the kinds of things that happen, like, I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen too often, people. That's why now I'm always checking to make sure my mic is actually on. But, stuff like that happens, or like your dog walks in, or like that one guy who was on CNN and like his kids came bouncing into the room.
Kids,
like
BBC, it was a BBC.
Like that's the kind of things that happen. And look what happened. It went viral. Like people were just laughing. And then like I don't know if it was the mom or the nanny or whatever, she came in and she's like grabbing those kids like, oh my gosh, but like
it was the mom. She snatched those kids up so quickly.
Because he was sitting there and he's sitting there like chuckling, like trying to pretend that they're not there, and the kids just like bouncing in the thing, coming up to daddy. Oh my God, it was so funny.
That girl was dancing and everything. It was hilarious.
See, but that's the kind of stuff that happens, and it makes you more real, it makes you more human, and it makes you more relatable. It feels like people can get more personal and personable with you. So embrace that. It's going to be scary at first, and just fucking do it anyway. Like do those first few are going to feel awkward. You might sit there for 5 minutes and be like, I'm so close to pressing go live. And you might just be waiting there. And like, once you hit the button, like, ooh, just go and talk. And the more you do it, the easier it is. Like now, if you're someone who like, I feel like if you're doing it and you're like really hating doing it, like you've gotten used to it and you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore, then like maybe it'd be a good idea to find something else. If you're really hating it, because I feel like that's going to come across like just like any other platform. If you're like on a platform that you're really hating, you're like, why am I spending my time here? This sucks. Like that's going to come across and it's going to affect your energy, but give it a shot. Live streaming's fun. I'm a video person though, so.
I love video. It is totally fun.
Yeah, I love video. So when it comes to building and monetizing, let's talk about that, because that's where I struggle. I feel like I started like some of the ways that I built on social was actually getting exposure on other people's platforms, like being on someone's podcast or having someone on my podcast, and then they promoted it and like that cross promotion. And so I feel like that's been one of the ways that I've built slowly. But in terms of monetizing, I feel like that's sometimes a struggle for people, especially if you're not an entrepreneur. If you're like an artist or something else, it's like, how do you use social media to create or to create opportunities, you know, to bring in money, both income and opportunity.
Absolutely. So the thing is, I try to tell entrepreneurs, if you're going to be in business, you have to make money. Like that's point blank, period. If you're in business, the whole definition of business is the exchange of commerce, also known as money. So you have to be cognizant of that. And I know when I'm talking to specific genres, especially creatives, I'm sensitive about my artistry. I'm sensitive, you know. I gotta create. I just want to do it for the culture and for the people. Guess what? You being a citizen that can contribute financially to this community and world will make you so much better of a contributor to the world. If nobody, this is what I tell people. I say, you want to make impact in this world, create some income and influence for yourself. The influence comes first. People have to be able to follow you and like you and know you and trust you. You have to be a movement builder. Then the income comes. When more people see what you do and they like it, that's when the money comes. And then that is when you create impact in this world. And if you're truly about making a difference in this world, you have to be adamant and relentless about making money in your business. Now, am I saying that money is everything? No. But let me tell you something. We understand that people who have it have more decisions and freedom. I'm about being able to make decisions in my life, and making money in my business affords me that opportunity. We met in Las Vegas. Right now I'm in North Carolina. That costs money to go to Las Vegas. I was there for an entire week.
Yeah,
you know,
sure did.
and I from Wisconsin to Las Vegas, and then I flew to North Carolina, and then next week I'll be flying to Tennessee. That costs money to live the lifestyle that I desire, to just live in this world in general. It requires that we make money. So I start there. What are your income goals? And when people tell me, "Oh, I don't know. I just want to do it. I'm not thinking about money." And then I have another conversation with them and I say, "Is this about a business or is this a hobby for you?" Because if this is a hobby, there's no reason to hire me. If this is a hobby, let's finish this conversation right now. I have free content. I have some courses. Don't waste my time in helping you create an expensive hobby. We don't have time for that. I want to build businesses that create generational wealth and legacies for people. And if that's not what you want, then you're not my client. The people who I want to work with want to create an impact. So you have to decide as a creative, is this an expensive hobby? Or is this something that I want to pass down to my family and to my children's children? I want them to be able to benefit from what I'm doing today. So that's the first moment, having that moment where you're coming and realizing, what do I really want? Then understanding, okay, if I intend to make money, how much money do I want to make? How much do I need to make? What's the cost of living? What's the cost of doing business? And then how much would I like to make? What are those, those bold, big, hairy goals? Some people call them big, hairy, juicy goals. What is that? What do I need to create month over month in order to sustain my business, in order to take care of my family, in order to have a great lifestyle, eat good food? What do I need? And then what steps do I need to take in order to make that happen? And I want you to know it's going to require investments. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to require that you invest in mentorship. You invest in going to events. You invest in training and products and courses until you figure out exactly what makes the most sense for you. And it will require you to fail. Some people, they knock it out the park immediately, but most people will not. We hear the success stories. We don't hear a lot of times the failure stories because they didn't make it. So we don't hear a lot of those. You hear the Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates stories, and the Mark Zuckerberg stories. But for every Bill Gates, every Steve Jobs, and Mark Zuckerberg, there's 1,000,001 people who did not make it, and we never found out their name. And even with me saying those names, we need to hear more women's names, more women of color, more Black women's names. Like, let me be very clear about this. You know, in the United States, African American women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. We're also the fastest failing group of entrepreneurs. So I like to toot our horn and just bring us down, bring us back to reality because of three things. And this is research that has been brought up because I know that we're starting businesses. That means we understand that if we want to change the economic trajectory of our community, it's going to happen through entrepreneurship. and women are cognizant of that. And that's really good. We woke about that. We stayed woke and we're clear about that. But the next step that we need to understand is what the research and data says. So this was done by the U.S. Department of Businesses. I forget the specific department, but they do small businesses. And this is a specific group that studies African-American women in business. And what they basically said, they put out a report. The report is about 2 or 3 years old. I have to look up the updated report, but I'm pretty sure the data is going to be similar. The reason why African-American female businesses are failing is because confidence is one of those things, not feeling confident in business. That imposter syndrome, not feeling good enough, not feeling like we have what it takes, especially when you don't come from a lineage of entrepreneurs. I would even say a lineage of creators. If nobody else in your family is doing what you're doing, they haven't created the pathway for you. They haven't created the blueprint. We're creating it now. There's many first generation entrepreneurs. So we're going through all the trial and error because nobody else created it for us. Whereas there might be other counterparts who don't look like us. They may have a lineage of people who've done this before. It makes it so much easier when your grandfather and your great grandfather were entrepreneurs, or they went to school, or they established things because they already laid the foundation and blueprint for you. Some of us, many of us, most of us don't have that luxury. So confidence, competence, knowing what to do. We have to have a better understanding of how money works in this world. The people who understand how money works, the people who understand how to make money, how to create money out of thin air are the ones that are going to win. Because whenever there's a recession, whenever there's you're strapped for cash, if you have the skill set of understanding how to make money, you will always be able to have it. Even if you're down to your last dollar, you will know how to create it again. So that's important. And then the last one was capital. A lot of Black businesses don't have the initial capital to go through the years when they're not making a profit. So a lot of times businesses go out of business because they don't have enough money coming in to continue the operations of business until they hit profit. So these are things that if we're cognizant and we know this in advance, we know what the obstacles are. We have to make sure that we're constantly affirming our businesses. We have to make sure that we're seeking constant mentorship because we're used to saying make $1 out of 15 cents. But sometimes when you're in business, you need that whole dollar. The 15 cents ain't going to cut it. So that's the real reality of Black entrepreneurship for women in the United States. Once we understand and able to tackle those things, and people are being able to tackle them when it comes to capital, there are pitch competitions, especially if you're creative. Like maybe you make purses. I have a client who makes purses. She does a lot of pitch competitions. She won like $5,000 like last month. Being able to use other people's money to fund your dreams. But that requires competence or information. You need to know your numbers. You need to know how much it costs for you to create a product. You need to know that those opportunities are out there. There's also opportunities with, I think it opened up today, Bank of America and some other, I think Cornell or Yale University opened up some spots to do free entrepreneurship courses for Black entrepreneurs. I think it was specifically for minority entrepreneurs. And I think it opened up today, but there were only 200 spots. So as of right now, if you're watching this, it's probably gone. But there's also opportunities with not Saks. There's other companies. I can't think of the name right now. It's not Saks. Goldman Sachs. Mm-hmm. They have internship and mentorship for business owners also. The SCORE and the Small Business Administration, the different chambers of commerce. So there are free resources out there for you to get mentorship, for you to find out about opportunities for capital, for you to find resources to grow your business. All of those things, there are opportunities, but we just have to tap into those resources more. And even when it comes to pitching and getting venture capitalist funding, if we're talking specifically about Black businesses, we get a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of that funding. Most of the funding that is out there is not going to people that look like us. So we got work to do.
Accurate. It's very accurate. And I love that you touch on the particular challenges that Black women face. So like people of color, but even expanding beyond Black women, it's like the Black community. We do lack resources. We do lack often like the education. We don't necessarily have the generations behind us who were building businesses and running businesses because of, you know, the history in the States. And so not that it can't be done, but like we have to, that's definitely going to affect the confidence, like you said. And that like this, the way systemically things have happened affects all of the things that you just mentioned. And when it comes to being a creative, I think what a lot of creatives need to actually recognize is that you are still a business. Like as a creative, you're a business. Like me, I make videos. I want to make films. Okay. Like I want to eventually make feature films. I have this big dream of having a huge multimedia corporation that is specifically designed to uplift and center people of color and creatives of color and bring them into the spotlight. And so for me to do that, even if I'm not running this big company, for me to make a film, an independently run film, I need funding for that film. Like you have your art, you have what you want to create, but you need to fund it too. So if you don't have like, okay, if you're not doing film, like film is an expensive endeavor. Okay, film is expensive. Let's say something that's possibly less expensive. Now, I'm not a painter, so please, if you're a painter and you're like, this is still really expensive, please don't yell at me. But like, if you're a painter or you're an artisan like that, you're crafting something, maybe it's not as expensive, but there's still an expense. So how are you going to fund what you're doing? And if you're talking about like you said, oh, I'm just here, like I'm doing it for the culture. I just want to have an impact. Have an impact how if nobody knows who you are? How are you going to have an impact if nobody knows what you're creating? If nobody's seeing what you're doing? If nobody's paying attention? You can't have an impact if nobody's paying attention. So you need to get people paying attention. And part of that that's going to help people do that is to think of what you're doing as a business. Doesn't mean selling out. It means you have to bring a business mindset to the art, to the creativity of it, to the athleticism of it. If you're an athlete, like you have to bring a business mindset to it and employ some of those strategies so that you can really leverage what you're doing and get it out in front of more people and get more people following you and supporting you so that you can have more impact, so you can create more cool shit. You know, like that's what I want to do. I'm not going to be able to make movies if nobody knows what I'm doing, who I am, if nobody's backing what it is that I'm trying to produce. Like you need to, for me, like I have to be able to build that following and build and monetize it as well. Monetize my brand, monetize like what it is that I'm creating and letting what I'm creating still be powerful. So not changing what I'm creating, but getting the right people behind me. That's what artists have
Absolutely.
to
And
do.
what I'll say about that is, I don't want to sound grim, like there's no hope, we can't do it. I want you to know that social media has been a pathway to opening up doors for so many creatives of color. Like, I mean, what these girls are doing on Instagram and on YouTube has been super phenomenal. And with live video, I need you guys to understand that this is super powerful. I mean, the doors that have been opened, even for myself, I wouldn't have a business if it wasn't for live video and social media. Lamar Tyler of Black and Married with Kids says, you know, the gatekeepers are gone. He has a book called The Gatekeepers Are Gone, and how we can leverage digital media, organic social media platforms to grow business, build capital, and create the things that we've never seen before. So honestly, we have all of that in the background, but there's no excuse. If you want to go on live and you want to sell something, you want to share your message, there are free platforms for you to start a blog today. All the social media platforms are basically free for you to start, and you can build up an audience for free. Now, if you're able to have capital to go along with this, you know, you can definitely make more about it. You can definitely go faster and quicker. So paid advertising and capital makes things happen a little bit faster. But slow and steady can still win the race. So if you're like, I don't got no money today, okay, can you live video? That's free. You got a Gizmo and gadget you invested in. Can you share some things? Can you start a GoFundMe? Can you get people involved and engaged in the products that you are creating? Can you call some people? Can you, there's so many ways. You got to be a hustler. In the beginning, you got to hustle. And then eventually you figure out, okay, maybe I don't have to hustle as much once I've built my fan base and my audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah. And some of the things that you said there about like, because I was wondering about like the monetizing and how and like leveraging social media to monetize, which I've done some of, but like some of the things that you just said, like GoFundMe, you just asking, okay, putting something out there and asking, getting people invested in what it is that you're building, whether that is a creative project or whether it's a product or a course or a service, is getting like that buzz and that excitement is going to get it more out there, and it's going to get people more invested. Also, I think it'll give you more of an idea of what people are looking for, so that you know you're creating something that they will, that's more like the entrepreneurial side, you're creating something that they will want to invest in. But it's, I just had a brainwave thinking about, I don't know if I can make it connect, but like this idea of like not wanting a handout, you know, like that we don't want a handout, that we don't, yeah, that we don't want to hand out.
We don't want to hand out. We don't want to ask people for things. And then I realized, I ain't too proud to beg. If I need something and it needs to happen, and I know that it's going to further and advance my future, it's going to make a difference in other people's lives and in my life and my family's life, guess what? I got to ask. I got to ask for the sale. I got to ask for the partnership. I have to ask for the opportunity. I have to ask to speak. You just got to be ain't too proud to beg. And if you are somebody who's super prideful, you don't want anybody to know anything about you, get an assistant to do it for you. You still got to ask. What I understand is, we see a lot of people say they're self-made millionaires. No, you're not. There were a lot of people you were involved in making you get to that $1 million mark. It didn't just fall out of the sky. It came from not necessarily millions of people, but tons of people seeing value in what you offer and making an exchange of commerce, giving you money for it. So I want people to think that it takes people. It doesn't have to take 1 million people for you to make $1 million, but it does take people to see what you do and find value in it. So don't be afraid to ask. Ask for the sale. Ask if you do consultations. Say that. If you want to charge for your artwork, if people want you to record film for them, you got to charge for your stuff. And it's not to say you charge for necessarily everything, but you want to be in a position where you're well taken care of, so that you can live out your wildest dreams. And that costs money. I tell people that all the time. Living out your wildest dreams costs money. It's going to cost time, energy, effort, and you just decide how you want to do that. And for most entrepreneurs, we have to be willing to do things that most people aren't willing to do, to live a lifestyle that most people will never, ever live. And I'll give an example that happened recently too, with the Jeffrey Owens, Elvin from the Cosby Show. And he had this whole backlash about him working at Trader Joe's. The reason he was working at Trader Joe's in Clifton, New Jersey, was because it was a flexible schedule so that he could still go to New York City and audition for films and teach acting. It gave him a flexible enough schedule to still live out his dream. There are things that he's done in his lifetime that most people will never be able to do. People he's met, parties, opportunities, experiences that he's had because he was willing to do something most people won't ever do. And he understood that in order for me to continue to live out this dream, I got to work temporarily at Trader Joe's. And now new opportunities are arising for him. And I equate that the way actors are, having side gigs and side jobs that might not be so sexy as being an actor or an actress. The same thing entrepreneurs are willing to do. Many people will drive Uber. They'll do other side things to make this dream work. And that's really the key. What are you willing to do to make this dream work? Because if I got to hustle, if I have to grind for 10 years, that's way better than me trying to figure this whole thing out, stay at a job for 25 years and still not be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. If it takes me 10 years to figure this out, it's worth the wait. It's worth the hustle. Mm-hmm. And it's temporary. It won't last forever.
Yeah. But it's about giving yourself, getting what you need to make it move forward. And it's like you said, it's not really a handout. You're getting an exchange. Like let's say it's business. You're exchanging goods for money. You're exchanging services for money. You're exchanging a transformation for money. You're helping provide a transformation. They are giving you money, or you're providing a product or something like that. If it's your art, they're supporting your art. Don't you want people to support your art? Don't you want people to support you as an artist? Like, it's not asking for a handout, and it's not it's not even like really, really begging, but like we have this mentality of like, no, I have to like, almost like I have to do it the hard way. Like it's only real if I do it the hard way, or that if you're not doing it completely 100% on your own, which is not even actually possible because there has to be an exchange of money somewhere, that if you're not doing it on your own, then you're being lazy or something like that. And you're giving yourself, you're leveraging what you have to get what you need to build it even more so that you can have more impact. And all of that, it's part of the cycle. It's part of moving it forward. It's like we need to get out of this mentality that we're not allowed to ask for help, that asking help is bad, that it makes us lazy, that it makes us like whatever other negative connotation, or not even asking for help, but asking for an exchange for what you're giving. Like how many people are out there who are charging like nothing or next to nothing for their services because they're like, oh, well, I can't charge this much. Like that, that's going to be too much, or I'm not valuable enough or something like that. Like charge more for what you're giving, like don't sell yourself short. It's one thing if you're like, I specifically want to charge this much because I want to make it really accessible to a certain group of people or something like that. That's one thing. I think it's totally different if you're only charging that much because you feel like you can't charge more, or you're not allowed to, or you don't have the value or something like that. Like all those things are mindset things. They're ways that like the stories that we've let hold us back over the years. And it's why so many women, like Black women's businesses end up failing, like you said in those statistics. So we need to change that dialogue and change that mentality and understand that like, one, what we're doing is absolutely worth it. And what we're doing is worth being supported, and it's worth an exchange of, money for goods or for art or whatever it is, and to stand for that. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who are telling us like, oh, you can't do that, or you can't do this, or how can you charge that much? And it's like, you don't say that to other people, to people who are lighter than me. Like I know that we have this dialogue that's coming at us, and the dialogue is bullshit. And it's okay for us to break that. It's okay for us to say, actually, I'm not living into this. I'm going to create a change, because me creating this change is going to create a change for the next generation who wants to get fucking paid, who wants to be able to live a better lifestyle, who wants to change like whatever dynamic or situation they're in, who wants to be able to provide a different kind of future for their children or for whoever it is, or for the community. Like it's okay for us to do that. And like those of us who are doing that now are changing the pathway for those of us who are coming after. Just like the people who came before us are changing the pathway for so many of us. That's why so many Black women are starting businesses.
Absolutely.
Monetize, guys. Build, have a brand, get your face out there, get your work out there, get what you do out there, and use social media to do it. And another thing that you mentioned, like partnerships, things like that, like social media opens up so many opportunities. That's how I ended up at the State of Womanhood Empowerment Weekend in Vegas. Like that's how I ended up speaking there, was because of people that I had connected through social media. Someone like, because I had connected to Frantonia, who was, those of you who don't know, she was the organizer of the event. I had connected to her through Facebook, and someone else had connected us about that event. That's how it happened, because she looked at what I was doing and she was like, yeah, I definitely want to have you there. I want to have you speak, so like there's so many opportunities that can happen, but you have to get yourself out there, and you need to remember that you can have a love for what you do, and you can have a, like that purity and that desire for the purity of what you do, but you can still bring a business mindset to it and grow it. Because just having like pure passion is not going to be enough to really spread it and create like the kind of impact that you want to have. So I think it's really powerful.
Absolutely. Passion is not enough. It does not pay the bills. We need way more than that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. Let us know, where can we find you? Where can people connect with you or learn from you?
No problem. So you can connect with me across the internets at Future Dr. Shade, or Future Dr. Shade, or Future Dr. Shadé. And you can find me and my Facebook group at breakfastbranding.com, because breakfast is an important meal and so is your brand. So breakfastbranding.com, join us in the lounge and connect with me on social media. I do also have a free gift for anyone who is looking to grow their brand online. If you want some strategies and tips, you can go to freegiftfromshade.com free gift from Shade. They spell my name like Shade, so you can remember it, right? And I would love to let me know how you watch this interview and let's connect online.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And that is all for now. We are signing off. Well, I know I just got an education in branding and entrepreneurship, some nuggets in there. If you are a creative, please remember that you need to go get your coins. Use your brand. Understand that your creativity is a business as well so that you can have an impact. And to help you get in the vision of the impact you want to create, go get your free workbook, Create Your Future Vision at kristeniris.com/vision. This will help you to get clear on your future vision of what it is that you want to create, what it is that you want to do, and even some of the things that might be a little bit in your way so that you can take bigger action. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and leave an honest review on iTunes. This is the best way to bring more Black and POC creatives, entrepreneurs, athletes to this podcast for these powerful conversations. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen or on my YouTube channel if you are watching the video on my YouTube channel. Until next time, stand in your power, stand in your color, and stand for what you create.